should just start there.
What's up, fine folks? I gave you permission.
Yeah, sweet.
Welcome to episode 33 of Double Tap. I'm Jay.
I'm Tanner.
We had a technical hullabaloo that we just went through to get all this working. Really, you went through it.
I'm not sure what just happened.
Sounds were not being sounded.
Yeah.
But now they are.
Don't love the phrase sounded as a verb. Also, the lights aren't on now. I gotta fix that. Sorry, video watchers.
Well,
It'll
maybe
take
that
2
just makes
seconds.
it more or less evident of how red my face is. Got my first sunburn of the year.
Yeah,
neck is even worse.
You're a
for
little,
those
you're a
who can
little
see.
red. You're a little rosy.
A little glossy. I'm also glossy red behind my knees.
Unrelated or?
No, exactly the same reason.
Yeah, no, I figured.
I'm sunburnt in very specific areas based
Yeah.
on the orientation of the sun. Speaking of the sun, it's very warm these days.
It is.
And right there on cue, we've got our second
yeah.
full-on official taste test to do.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, we did the taste test for the Bud Light soda seltzers.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and tell you, these are better.
Okay, sweet.
We are fans of Cayman Jack.
Yes, we are.
One of our favorite brands of...
Drink.
Premium malt beverage, as they call
okay,
it.
one of my
Premium
favorite brands of beverage.
malt beverages.
That's hard to say.
Now, I just assumed we would crack open the OG
Yes.
as a control.
So, yeah, this is the thing that we've had many, many times.
Once on this show, I believe.
Have we done Caymans on the
I'm
show?
pretty sure once.
That doesn't shock me. We do like these a lot. A very good
Yeah.
summertime drink.
As good as it comes in terms of pure flavor.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Out of a can.
So good.
Absolute dynamite. So that's the classic, is just the Cayman Jack margarita.
Yeah.
They also make a mojito, a
Paloma.
and a Moscow Mule.
Yeah.
Also in cans. All of which are good.
All are good, yes.
But for the first time, and my girlfriend and I were just stumbling through the grocery store, and I happened across...
Were you drunk?
No. I was not... I was very indecisive. She was... This is rare. I'm never almost indecisive about what I want to eat, really, when I really think about it.
Yeah.
It took me like 30 minutes to figure out.
Wow.
And I was like, crab cakes. And then I just told you about those.
Crab cakes. And then I said Mexican, and we went.
Yeah. So, adjacent to the seafood, I saw these. Cayman Jack.
Wait, these were like near the fish?
Yes, they were literally on a little cardboard stand right next to like the shrimp cocktail.
Okay.
So, Cayman Jack's flavored margaritas.
Yes, I'm very excited about these. I didn't know they existed.
They have
yesterday.
watermelon, strawberry, and mango.
Yes.
Which one would you like to try first?
Let's do either strawberry or watermelon. I feel like mango is going to be a good difference between the two. So.
Okay. Let's go watermelon first.
All right, we're going to try watermelon. Also, my favorite bit when we do these taste tests is because the first thing is always set in stone of the show is what we're playing.
Yes.
So these taste tests just go under the what we're playing
Fair enough.
label.
What we're drinking.
Yeah.
So, Cayman Jack watermelon margarita.
Do these have blurbs? No, they don't. All they just say is made with watermelon juice and agave nectar, and they're ready to drink.
They are ready to drink.
What's the alternative there?
I know the Cayman Jack's bottles usually have a little thing on them.
Ooh,
Yeah.
these are dope.
They are.
Those are very good.
And if I'm ever going to get a flavored variant of margarita, watermelon is usually my go-to.
Same.
It's because I only like the ones that are particularly good with salt on the rim and not sugar.
Watermelon
so that's a
makes
very
sense.
solid one.
All right, let's go mango next.
Mango. And as we mentioned when we did the Bud Light seltzer reviews, we've got stuff to do today leisurely, not anything serious.
No, yeah, we're gonna watch basketball.
So these are going to be consumed over the course of the next few hours.
They will not be wasted.
Mango. I love this one. I
really like that.
Love that
Wow,
one.
we're 3 for 3.
would kill with a little salt. It's got the mango's another one that's good with a salted rim, especially like a little chili lime salt kind of action.
Fancy.
Now, I don't know how do you feel about strawberry margaritas?
Well, first of all, Chili Lime Salt Connection, my favorite 90s R&B band. But I'm indifferent on strawberry margaritas, I think. I like them when swirled with like a regular margarita.
Sure. Yeah.
That strawberry lemonade, strawberry lime kind of thing.
I don't want to. There's a broad generalization that I don't want to make, but I feel like it has been the norm in my life.
Okay.
I feel like women in my life have always preferred strawberry margaritas. I don't know why. I love all of these, but strawberry has usually been one of my lesser go-tos versus women that I've known. They're like, oh, a strawberry margarita? I want that one. And I'm just like, why?
I love that you ended the thought and just started drinking. You're like, why? Drink. That was really
For
funny.
what it's worth, I didn't drink until just now.
Oh, that was great. Okay.
That is good, though.
Oh, that's delicious.
I mean, I knew all of these would be good. Cayman doesn't miss,
No, they don't.
in my experience.
And here's something I appreciate that's kind of dumb.
Okay.
All of the can tabs or whatever those are called,
Different colors.
they're all color coded with whatever flavor they are. So
Yeah.
this is lime colored, and this the regular. The watermelon one's green, the mango one's yellow, and then the strawberry one's red.
I'm going to rock the mango, at least at first as we go forward.
I think I may do the watermelon for now. If I had to power rank them,
Sure.
I think I'd go. I'm gonna say strawberries last,
Okay. Fair.
regular third,
Interesting.
but just because I've had it so often, it's
Yeah.
like it's nothing new. And then I'm gonna go mango 2, watermelon 1. Or I could
Interesting.
see those flipping.
Interesting.
The more you drink them, it might change a little bit.
I think I go mango 1.
Fair.
I like we don't often get a lot of mango flavored stuff in Kentucky.
That's true. That's very true.
But watermelons, you see them every summer.
Yeah.
Around here. So I think I go mango regular, watermelon strawberry with a bit of a gap between watermelon and strawberry. But
Yeah.
the gap between strawberry and a lot of other beverages is still pretty good. These are very good
I was gonna say
across the board.
over under on number of these that get consumed at the beach.
Assuming we can find them.
True. We should just stock up on them now.
Yeah, that's true. Over under on individual cans.
How many's in a pack?
There's 4 flavors, 3 of each. So
12?
12 cans per pack.
And there are
7?
7 of us going?
Yes. Have we discussed this?
No, we've not discussed it on the pod.
We're going on a beach trip with our friends.
In about a month.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That's only about a month ago. It's like 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
So no pod that week, obviously.
Yeah.
But
and it's 5 days that we're down there.
so possibly no pods for 2 weeks, but we'll let you know.
And I was saying that in regards to the consumption.
Oh,
math.
sure, for the math.
5 days worth.
Because honestly, I could see these supplanting a lot of things.
Sure.
Because our group, pretty seltzer heavy right now.
Definitely.
I think I'd rather have these than most seltzers.
Yeah. In a vacuum,
I was going to say in a vacuum.
I would rather have one of these than a seltzer. But
Good point.
hot sun,
Yeah.
5 to 6 hours under it.
Yeah.
I might want something that doesn't have as much sugar, sweet,
so much weight to
acidity.
it. Yeah.
So I like the alternation strategy.
Do you think we consume 4 packs of these? 48.
Yeah.
You're so confident.
Now that, yes.
Okay, here's a better question. How many cans of alcohol do you think we consume total?
Okay, total.
Yes, among the group of us.
Okay, well, individually, 5 days.
I can't wait to
about-
see where this goes.
Hold on. When I think about the actual number, it starts to sound egregiously high. But I'm going to go with like 350.
Holy
Because you got to
shit.
think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, well,
300?
let's include any beverages that we have at restaurants.
Okay, sure.
And I'd say we're going to average about 10 per day per person. There we go. 5 days. Oh, wait a minute. I overdid. No. 10 per day.
That's 35 a day.
Yeah.
No. Sorry.
That's 70
That's
per
70
day
a
for
day.
everybody.
So
5
350,
days,
yeah.
350. That's my guess, and I'm sticking to it.
10 a
because
day.
some of those we're going to go over.
That's true.
For some people.
We've already agreed. I love that we're going in the weeds on this. We've already agreed that we're going to schedule out a couple of days to go harder than other days.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to hit 10 drinks every day.
A couple days we might hit 15.
We might hit 15, and then a couple other days we might hit like 5.
Yeah.
You're just sitting
Can't
there.
wait.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Anyway, what have you
Tanner,
been playing?
that's what I was going to say. Because my answer is still like, I've barely played anything besides Elden Ring,
Same.
which I completed and platinumed. You want me
Congratulations.
to talk about it first, or you want to talk about it since you're still...
I can talk about it.
Go for it. Then I can sort of... That'll calibrate anything that I feel like I can say.
First of all, congrats on the plat.
Thank you.
So yeah, I played, as we've talked about on the show, I was trying to get through Horizon before I got to Elden Ring, but the a mixture of the internet chatter and talking to you about it and talking to other friends on the internet about it and other people asking me, when am I going to play Elden Ring? And that combined with a frustrating moment for me in Horizon, which, to synopsize without spoiling, basically there is just the info dumpiest of info dumps I've ever experienced in a game. And they were dropping like 30 different proper nouns that all meant something. And there were all these just... It got to such a nerdy level. It would have been fine in like a story Bible.
Sure.
Of like, the writers refer to it of like, oh, this is where this program is. This is where this is, blah, blah, blah. But as the player, I got so bored of hearing all these proper nouns to where I was just like lost. I just completely tuned out. But it's in a situation which I think is meant for more because I texted you about it and you kind of said that you thought that was something to like refer back to.
Or at least that's sort of the way I can, because I have not yet gone back to it.
Right.
And I probably will. Just to
as a refresher. That makes total sense and I'm cool with it that way. I didn't get that when I played it. I thought this is the one cut scene where they're going to lay everything out. So I have to ask every question. And no joke, that cut scene is a mission, basically.
Yeah.
You finish a mission with like a big fight. The next mission is just story, which I'm fine with. But that mission takes like an hour. And you're just being told shit for an hour. So that was me just like, you know what? I'm like, Horizon's fun, but if Elden Ring weren't there, I would have powered through, obviously. Sure. But that was the moment where I was like, I have to play Elden Ring. So I am about 15 hours into Elden Ring.
Okay.
I've had it for a week and a half now, so it's funny that I'm probably further in Elden Ring after a week and a half than I was in Horizon after like 4 weeks. Yeah. It shows you how much I've been wanting to play this game. I really like it a lot. I have some minor issues with it.
Okay.
Mainly, my only real issue, and I think this is just me sort of reconfiguring how I approach these kinds of games.
Sure.
Is just not knowing where to go. I know that you can go anywhere, but at some point I'm like, all right, I want to go where I should go, and I can't find it sometimes. So that is a little tricky. I eventually, end up in a place. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do this. But yeah, the boss fights that I've encountered have been great. I don't know if I should... Do you consider names of bosses spoilers?
Not significant.
I don't.
I mean, there might be some that are, if it's baked into the name, but like Godric is not a spoiler.
Yeah,
I would say.
I've
that was also in demos for the game that were shown.
Right, that was what people played in like the early access stuff.
Yeah.
So I've beaten Godric, I've beaten Margit, which I just found out. I guess kind of spoilers are completely skippable.
Well, yeah.
It's tricky.
Margit is completely skippable.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know. Well, skippable in a way.
Sure.
But I won't say more than that.
But I'm glad, like, I come to these games for the boss fights, so I don't want to skip any boss fights. Like, I'd much rather skip regular enemies than I would boss fights.
Yeah.
Both of those were awesome. I will say, this game, I don't know if it's the game, I don't know if it's the fact that I've played a few of these games now. It's definitely not, like, encouragement from anyone outside but me. I've definitely been trying more weapons in this game than I have in any other Souls game ever. Granted, Bloodborne, you can kind of just ride with the saw cleaver or whatever you pick from day one. Dark Souls 3, I don't feel like I really changed my weapon up too much.
I didn't either.
And Sekiro, you can't change your weapon. But in this game, I've probably tried like 4 or 5 different weapons now. I had the regular sword that you start with if you pick Samurai, which I picked. I had some like Wolverine claws that I was rocking for a while. A couple other boss weapons that I've picked up from those... I don't know how to describe them without spoiling the Everjails.
Sure.
Which are basically just like boss portals, if you want to call them that.
It's literally, I mean, lore-wise, Everjail, it is like a jail that these bosses have been imprisoned in, and then you just go in there to fight them.
Right.
Which is not much of a spoiler.
Which is awesome. I
it's
love
a really
that.
cool
I love
thing.
that mechanic. As someone who is, again, there for the boss fights. But yeah, overall, really, really loving it. Excited to play more. Like I said, I think I only got a little frustrated not knowing where to go once, and that's whatever.
Yeah.
But really, really liking it a lot.
Yeah, so my assessment upon having completely beaten the game, platinumed it, surprisingly, I don't want to... Easy platinum is the wrong word because this game is not implicitly easy in any way.
Yeah.
None of these games are. But if you can beat the game, you can get the platinum.
Oh, that's cool.
That's my
pretty
easy... it is not... Here, this is not a spoiler. When I talk about why I don't have the Dark Souls platinums, but I do have Bloodborne and I do have Sekiro. the main hurdle that was keeping me from getting the Dark Souls platinums is collecting all the magical spells, the sorceries, the incantations, whatever. This game, there are those trophies, but it's collect all the legendary of these things, of which there are far fewer.
Gotcha.
And much easier guides that I have found to be able to go get them.
Right.
I won't spoil this, but word to the wise for anyone who plans to go for the platinum, there is a singular weapon that is required to get the platinum, that if you do not get it in your course of your first playthrough and you progress the story to a certain point, you have to restart all over to get back to a pretty decent chunk through the game to get it. Yeah. Now, knowing, and I was texting you while I was doing this, knowing the game well enough to know that you can skip certain things or you can take shortcuts, whatever.
Yeah.
I was able to get back to the place where that weapon was in 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
Compared to it took me 40 hours of real game time to get there, which is wild to think about.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's also sort of coloring why I'm questioning how I'm going to think about this game in the long term.
Okay.
Because to me, the thing that separated this game and made it so great is the surprising elements of exploring the world.
Sure.
Everything else is just really good Dark Souls, but the world itself is just so incredible. Yeah. And you have plenty to still uncover.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was the thing, but I'm like, now that surprise is gone, I'm wondering if if I'll ever be tempted to go back and replay this, like I have been tempted to go back and replay Bloodborne a couple of times. Yeah. Because Bloodborne's more about the enemies themselves, just the dour setting, all of that sorts of stuff. Yeah, versus this, I'm like, I've already explored this world. I don't know if I'm ever be tempted to do that again. But upon first playthrough, it is a groundbreaking experience. So I'm still over the moon in my opinion of the game. Yeah. And it's also weird to not be mentally done with a game that you've platinumed. I don't know the last time I experienced this. It has been forever. Yeah. That I'm like, I got the platinum in this game, but I'm like, I don't particularly want to play anything else. Right. So I've jumped in a couple nights and just kind of like, well, there's probably a couple dungeons random that I just haven't seen. Yeah. Just to play around with. I've watched a bunch of videos. I've done a bunch of stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I'm maybe done with it now. But it took a few days for me to be like, I don't really want to play anything else. I wanted to keep playing this beyond when I got the platinum. Right. And the way that I saw, once I reached the point that I'm done with this game, I had 3 options. Okay. Go back to Horizon. Yeah. Or buy Dying Light 2. Okay. Or buy Sifu.
Oh, interesting.
Those are my 3 options. Yeah. I bought Sifu.
I was gonna say I would have suspected that's the way.
And I'm like, I thought that I might be on an open world kick once I beat Elden Ring. I'm like, oh, now would be a great time to go back to Horizon. No. I want something that. I want this gameplay loop more than I want to explore a world right now. So Seafood jumped off the page, and it was only $40. Oh,
that's not bad.
So I'll have impressions of that coming down the pipeline pretty soon.
I look forward to that.
Now, let's move on to the actual news.
Okay.
Of which we have a lot of kind of small things.
Okay, I'm gonna keep timestamps. Okay. It was very helpful last time.
News story number 1: Amy Hennig is working on a Star Wars game. Again. After her EA project was canceled, her new studio, Skydance New Media, has since partnered with Lucasfilm, and now she is developing yet another Star Wars game.
Which is kind of bananas when you really think about it, because, she was at EA working on a Star Wars game, and then I guess did we really know what happened there? Did the game get canned? Did she step away?
It seemed like the game got canned. I don't know. There's probably a lot of behind the scenes stuff that maybe will come out about that. It's possible that there was just there was a weird, and it's funny because history has kind of repeated itself. Yeah. There was a weird little period where 4 Star Wars games got announced.
Yes.
Only 2 of which came out. Yeah. And now we got another swath of Star Wars games that just got announced, so we'll see how these do.
If memory serves, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong here, I think this might have been, they were developing a single player Star Wars game. And I think this was when EA was like, every game needs to have an online component. Do you remember this? Everything needs like a microtransaction or whatever. So I wonder if that...
Very EA of them.
Yes. I wonder if that part of it was why it got canceled, or, it could have been just creative differences. But obviously, there was something there that made Lucasfilm go, actually, no, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's make this now.
Which tells you it was probably her story idea.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, totally. But good for her. You know, we are both big fans of hers and her track record. It's been kind of weird because, like, I think it's just been a very unfortunate last few years for her as far as, like, making games goes, because it seems like it's been a news story that's like, oh, Amy Hennig's working on this. Sweet. Amy Hennig joined this team. Sweet. And then just nothing has ever come of it. And I'm not saying that's her fault at any means. I just think it's, if anything, it's been indicative of the just unlucky situation she's been put in. So it's cool to see her hopefully land on her feet since it's her own company. You know, it's not gonna fire her. So I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Me too. I mean, I love Uncharted to the ends of the earth. If she can do 80% of what she did with Uncharted with a Star Wars IP, have at it.
Totally.
Next story. Sony Santa Monica's animation director Bruno Velasquez tweeted reaffirming that Ragnarok is still set to come out in 2022. Do you believe him?
No.
Really? I do. I believe him. Why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't know. I don't like that it came from an animation director, I guess is my point, and it didn't come from Sony Santa Monica or Corey. Because, you know, I admittedly have a very small grasp on how video games are made.
Sure.
But I do know that animation is just a part of the entire process. So again, I don't think that this guy is lying from their perspective. I am sure there is a big date in the office somewhere that's circled 15 times in Sharpie.
Sure.
But I don't think that necessarily means it's impossible that it's going to get delayed. Mm-hmm. I think for their information, if I had to theorize here, for their information, for what they're targeting, for what their timelines say, they still have that date in mind. But there are a crazy amount of unforeseen circumstances that could come across. You know, delays happen for all of a litany of reasons, and so it's very possible that between him saying that and them saying, you know, we have this whatever date, and then they could still get delayed.
Yeah, and in reality, that's where I'm at too.
Yeah,
there are innumerable things that could happen that would push it back. Now, is there a date at which point, if there has not been a formal delay, that you'll be convinced that it is coming out this year? Assuming that it's currently set for like October-ish.
Yeah.
If it reaches August and there's no delay, do you think then we're good?
Probably, but if it reaches August and we've still not seen anything...
Fair. Well, you're 100% right.
Then I think that it probably is a delay.
You're 100%
if we see
right.
something in August and they say 2022, it's coming out in 2022.
Yeah, I think we need to see something this summer.
Yes, agreed.
We don't see a slice of gameplay this summer. At that point, I agree that I become worried. However, would it be supremely cool if they didn't do that?
Oh my God.
And then Cory Barlog was just like, October 26th or whatever. And then it just comes out, you know.
I talked about this on Twitter recently, that I've always wanted a movie to just be like, its trailer is, there is no trailer, either go see it or don't. And the only person I could see doing that is Jordan Peele. I could see them doing something like that, of just, here's the God of War Ragnarok logo, here's the date, we're not telling you anything.
Yeah.
And that would be awesome.
It would be.
Now, granted, you know, it would be nice. The ideal, it's funny that the game wasn't that great, but we always point to Fallout 4's launch. That would be ideal. That, you know, there's some event in August, Sony's doing, you know, whatever their version of E3 is, and they end with it's out in 2 weeks or whatever. That'd be sick. But again, I just know from working on a lot of timelines now at work that delays can happen for the dumbest reasons.
Yeah.
And, you know, just because we have all of our stuff in line doesn't mean that, you know, someone else we work with, a client, a printer, whatever, someone licensing something, whatever, doesn't mean that it's not going to get delayed. So I think that tweet was all in goodwill, and I hope it's true, but I think it's also possible the game still gets delayed.
Now, I just think with this game, I think people forget that technically it already did get delayed. You know?
Yeah, it's true.
There was the initial PS5 reveal show that teased Ragnarok is coming 2021. Now, we never saw anything between then and when they eventually were like, no, the game's delayed.
Yeah.
But we did see that pretty extensive trailer that did have slices of gameplay in it. So I'm like, I wouldn't put it past them to not put out much more in terms of marketing material.
Sure.
But yeah, it would be weird and atypical if they didn't and the game still came out.
Because I think this is in that sort of, this game is to that scale of like Sony commercial during an NFL game level.
Yeah,
right.
We will see Kratos' face on network television.
Yes. So to me, there's going to be whatever that trailer is. Probably a mix of gameplay and story. You're going to get a little bit of a recap of one maybe, and then here's where we're headed next and some gameplay, and that's going to be our trailer. If that's all we get, I am elated. Yeah. Fewer trailers are better for me.
Yeah, and as we mentioned before, and we've mentioned this several times, if a delay happens, do it.
Yeah, please.
Make the game as good as possible.
Better. I don't care.
Next up, Halo Infinite is launching a Last Spartan Standing Battle Royale-esque mode.
I didn't see this.
Now, maybe because it's not a pure Battle Royale, it didn't make quite the headlines that it could have.
Sure.
But the details of this mode.
Okay.
12 players.
Okay.
5 lives each.
Oh.
As you get kills, you get progressively better weapons.
Okay.
But there are random loot drops.
Okay.
They currently have 4 like large scale maps in the game. Mm-hmm. This mode will be exclusive to the large scale maps.
Sure.
And then, as it said, Last Spartan Standing wins. You try to kill each enemy 5 times.
So it's kind of a hybrid of like gun game meets Battle Royale meets like just like Last Man Standing single player.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or not single player, but like
a free for all.
1v1v1v lone wolf or whatever they call it in Halo. I think it's lone wolf.
Which it sounds cool.
It does sound fun. I'm down. I like the Halo Infinite multiplayer a lot. I'm trying to think of which. See, normally I play SWAT when I play Halo Infinite multiplayer, and I don't think those are on the big maps.
Sure.
So I'm curious what those big maps are. I don't know if I've played them yet or not. I'm sure I have in like regular Slayer, but sounds cool. I mean, people have wanted a Halo Battle Royale for a long time. I think that Halo is great in the multiplayer shooter scene because it is so different from everything else. It's a little slower, but not in a bad way. And especially with all of the, imagine if like people got like the grappling hook and you're in a battle royale and they're like the last person you have to kill and somebody like zipline. I mean, it's going to create some really cool moments, and that's kind of what online multiplayer is.
Yeah, and I'm excited for this mode on its own, absent of anything else. Some people do think though that this is a precursor to them launching a more full-scale battle royale situation,
which is fine.
If they do that, great, whatever, But I kind of think for their brand, they're not the type that is just gonna ape the mode from another game. They're not gonna do a Warzone. I don't anticipate. No. They might. It'll probably make them some money if they did.
Yeah,
but
I'd play it.
They could make an iteration like this, where maybe they release a pack of new large-scale maps designed just for this game mode. And I like this idea. I like the gun game sort of long scale that a game mode like this could bring. So I am interested.
Something on battle royales, and I think I'm okay to discuss this. So, I back in the day I did work for or one of the clients we had at my old design studio was Gun. Wes Keltner, who is on Twitter and Twitch as Wes Keltner. He and I were talking about, this was when PUBG first came around.
Right.
And I just think this story is really cool. So he was, he's like game director, big brain, like, a very smart dude talking about video games. And he kind of explained to me, or he put battle royales in a different light than what I'd experienced. I was like, man, these are so fun, but I don't understand like where they came out of. And we were talking about gameplay loop and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, what battle royales did really smartly was they distilled a 40-hour JRPG into 40 minutes. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. But like you're kind of just leveling up by killing someone, taking their loot. Then you have better loot to take on the next enemy. I think that idea is really cool. And this is almost a further progression of that.
Sure.
Where it's not even, it's first of all, it's going to lead to people getting kills very early. They're going to be very aggressive. They're going to drop hot because, if it gets you 1 point to get to the next gun or whatever, you're going to want as many kills as possible. But also the fact that it's just almost taking away that looting element, and instead, even though it'll be there, just rewarding you for kills over time.
Yeah.
Just seems like another approach to that core idea. So I'm pretty excited about it. That seems kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. Now, we've got a pair of announcements of new games.
Okay.
Well, in a way, to talk about.
In a way.
First up, a 4th Tomb Raider game is in development from Crystal Dynamics, and they will be reportedly using Unreal Engine 5 to develop it.
Yay! Shout out to Unreal.
Which I assume many games will be developed using in the near future.
Yes.
If
you're not listening, or if you're listening to the audio and not watching video, Jay just made one of the most confounding faces I've ever seen.
I don't know how I feel about the continuation of the modern Tomb Raider franchise.
So
I really don't.
You've played all 3?
No, I didn't play Shadow, the most recent. I think. But here's the thing. You could tell me there was a 4th one, and I'd believe you.
Yeah.
There might be a 4th one. I don't think there is.
No, I think it's just...
There was regular Tomb Raider, Rise, Shadow, and then whatever's coming down the pipeline right now.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider 1, very, very good.
Very fun.
Got the platinum.
Played it for the first time like a year ago.
I was mentally done when I got that platinum,
yes.
as we've told on this podcast.
I watched you all grind that out for hours.
Rise, weird.
Okay.
Story was weird, but gameplay was refined. It was still a very good game.
Yeah.
Didn't play Shadow. I was not compelled. I'm like, okay, Rise was kind of just more Tomb Raider. So Shadow is probably just more Tomb Raider. Yeah. I assume this is just going to be more Tomb Raider, so I'm not really into it.
So I've only played the first one. I thought it was good, but I was not compelled to play Rise right after I played the first one. What would they have to do to bring you in? Would it be more of a story focus like Uncharted? Would it be some new gameplay elements? Like what would you target?
It would probably have to be a better story, because I've never thought that Lara Croft was a particularly deep character.
Right.
They did some like little bit of stuff like with her relationship with her dad, like in the first game, and the historicity of like, all the stuff that she's done. Thank you. But I just think they were so discount Uncharted that I never thought of them as anything else.
Sure.
Even if the gameplay arguably is a little more fun than Uncharted, not Uncharted 4 and later iterations, but at the time when I want to say Rise came out before Uncharted 4 or around the same time.
I think you're right.
Uncharted 4 was a level up for that series, and at that point they just completely left Tomb Raider in the dust in all ways.
Yeah.
But the story was already good enough for me to care less about Tomb Raider. And it just doesn't do anything special relative to other open world games.
Totally.
It has the sort of archaeological history buff fun, but it doesn't do it in a way that intrigues me like Uncharted does. It's just not as clever.
Yeah.
And especially the side characters in Tomb Raider, I do not give a single shit about.
That's the thing. I think Uncharted just has more character, not characters, but like it has more character to it. All of the side characters, you and I can sit here and name. I don't know that I can name, other than Jonah, that's the only Tomb Raider side character I know.
That's the big guy?
Yes, that's a Samoan
That's
dude.
the one I could remember. He's the big guy. Couldn't have told you his name.
Yeah, he's a big Samoan guy.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I could not tell you any of the other names, and I played a Tomb Raider way more recently than I played any Uncharted game, but I still know all the Uncharted characters way better. They're just not that... I mean, it's kind of unfair to tell Crystal Dynamics, hey, just write like Naughty Dog. I mean, that is a huge ask.
Just hire Amy Hennig. She's been bouncing around.
But at least, like, if they could make some of those characters more interesting, if, again, maybe Shadow was awesome and we didn't play it, but if they just need something to make it not feel like, here's another Tomb Raider, and it sells, however much it sells, and that's it, then I might be intrigued.
Yeah, me too. It's just... It's not doing it for me. I don't know.
That's totally fair. There's not enough time to play everything.
But something that might do it for me.
Okay.
And I don't know, because I've only touched one of these games one time.
All right.
Max Payne 1 and 2 are being remade by Rockstar. I played Max Payne 3 for maybe 2 hours. I thought the bullet time was cool. I don't know.
Did you buy it?
I'm pretty sure I bought it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why.
That's funny.
I remember seeing a trailer, I want to say, and just thinking it looked really cool, and then learning a little bit how, like, they were the, inventors of the whole bullet time mechanic.
Yeah.
And I was like, so this is going to be a cool sort of third person. This must have been around the time when I was big into Splinter Cell. And I sort of maybe felt that it was like, okay, akin to Splinter Cell with a third person, shooter, maybe a little bit stealth based, that sort of thing. It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Max Payne besides its name.
Yeah.
And I played that game a little bit, but maybe these will be good. I know some people love the series.
Yeah, so I have a weird history with Max Payne. I remember my dad, that was like a big PC game back in the day. Remember him playing it, and I think I played a little bit of it, but like you, I only really remember Max Payne and the fact that it's bullet time. And that you could like dive around corners shooting sideways, and I was like, "That's cool. I'm 9 years old. This is awesome." But yeah, I don't remember any of the story beats. I know in one of his. Well, I don't want to. I think one of the games start with his family being dead. So I think it might be the first one.
Good to know.
Spoilers, I guess. But yeah, I don't really know much about it. I hope that these are better quality than the GTA remasters supposedly were, because those were apparently ass. So yeah, I don't know if this is just... I'm assuming the GTA remasters sold well, and so they're like, what else do we have? And they found Max Payne. I would argue that more people might be interested in a Bully remaster.
Sure.
But maybe they're working on both. Who knows? But yeah, this doesn't really do anything for me. But if it gets like crazy good reviews, I might give it a visit.
Well, that's the thing. Part of me, and I'm pretty sure my understanding of this is that these are more full-scale remakes compared to the GTA situation, which when they originally were talking about remaking or re-releasing or remastering GTA, however they phrased it early on, which I don't remember. I want to say that they phrased it as remakes. Yes. But it clearly was not that.
No.
It was very superficial remastered stuff.
Yeah.
If they remake any of their games from the ground up from back in the day, I'm at least intrigued to see how they do it.
Totally.
And this would give us maybe the best insight into what GTA 6 might end up looking like
in 5 years.
However the hell long it takes for it to come out. But I guess I'm more curious to just see how it ends up looking in the marketing material. Does it look like it's 20 years old or however the hell old? When did Max Payne even come out?
Oh, God.
It had
like
to have been
2001,
around. Yeah,
2002?
so like we're roughly 20 years from the start of the series. Maybe they do something crazy and really rebuild it from the ground up. Maybe they just do something superficial like they did with GTA. Who knows? But
Max Payne, July 3rd, 2001.
Well done.
Thanks.
So yeah,
I was 6. Jesus.
I guess I'm more curious to just see them display how well they can remake a game if they choose to do so.
Sure.
Because that could crack open a whole can of worms for them remaking anything else, including Bully. They've still got leeway to remake old GTAs because they clearly didn't do that.
Yeah, totally.
So there's possibility here. So excited to see what they do.
Yeah.
And on that note, the last news story. Apparently, Ubisoft is up for sale. We haven't
done this in a while.
Cool.
It's time for crazy shit I saw on ResetEra, except I didn't see it and I was sent this by someone.
Nailed it.
Shout out to my buddy Jay Strawberry on Twitch, who sent me this. It's a very quick one. So the thread was in rumors that Sony could acquire FromSoft.
Okay.
This is from user Arta, who says, "Why? They already have Bluepoint to actually make the games look good. It's kind of redundant." Okay. Plus, it's a risk buying this series 10 years into their combat formula. How many more can they hope to get out of this series? They should have done this 5 years ago if they were serious. Just... Hey, Elden Ring is like the biggest talk of gaming ever. These guys are dated, right? Kind of a wild bit of logic.
It is kind of crazy. But I mean, like, I don't even want to say but, because that would lend credence to whatever that person just said. It is an interesting question of, like, when do Dark Souls mechanics become outdated?
Sure.
But I don't think it's now, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think they have shown a desire to not just stick with the same formula over and over again.
Sure.
Like, if you look really critically at Sekiro and Elden Ring, they are both reshapings of what FromSoft games are, modern FromSoft games are. So I think their ability to say, okay, what if we took this idea but applied it to this kind of thing is what makes them great, as opposed to people just trying to remake a Dark Souls.
Yeah, if anything, what's weird is that they take elements from their own games.
Yes.
They make offshoots like Bloodborne, and then take elements in Dark Souls 3, becomes a little quicker, a little better pace. Yeah. They make Sekiro, and then you play Elden Ring, and there's the crouch and jump mechanic that was not in any prior Dark Souls games, and you have a horse. So I almost wonder if their strategy is they use games almost experimentally. Like, let's just make a game that's an offshoot, doesn't connect to our other games, so we can try something.
Right.
And then we can integrate it into what is still... I mean, Elden Ring is not a Dark Souls game, but it is.
It is, yeah.
So it's like the main line from is Dark Souls, from Demon Souls to Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And then everything else...
You just have your splinters.
And then it connects back with some sort of mechanic. That's actually kind of a cool design philosophy.
Yeah, totally.
Because I could see them taking a few elements from Sekiro more so than they already did, and folding it into the next one and then just making it feel even more modernized, because play Sekiro, nothing about that game feels dated.
Oh my god,
like,
that game's
it is
so
as
awesome.
crisp and dynamic as any combat ever.
I feel like Sekiro is gonna become like the weirdly hidden gem of their library, and it's crazy. Like, I love that game. That game's so good. But yeah, why buy FromSoft? Because they're the hottest shit on the market, dude.
Yeah, anyway. The fact that we just remade Demon Souls.
Yeah.
And that sold well enough, to my understanding.
Yeah.
And I promise you, look, I will become an evangelist if they decide to remake Bloodborne. I will go sell Bloodborne remakes on the streets to try to get them like the sales that they need to keep doing such a thing.
Only if you wear one of the giant head cages.
Oh, what's his name? Guy you run through the library and fight.
Miko Lash?
Miko Lash. Well done. Thank you. Anyway, speaking of buying studios, this report comes from Bloomberg. Assassin's Creed publisher Ubisoft draws buyout interest. This is from Ruth David, Danish Nair, and Giles Turner. And I only have a little blurb because I don't want to pay 99 cents a month to subscribe to Bloomberg. Nonetheless,
screw your paywall.
Ubisoft Entertainment, the video game publisher behind the Assassin's Creed franchise, is attracting preliminary takeover interest from buyout funds, people with knowledge of the matter said. Several private equity firms, including Blackstone Inc. and KKR and Company, have been studying the French business, according to the people who asked not to be identified because the information is private. Okay. As is everything with business deals these days.
Just say according to sources.
Now, one way that they know this, and I don't know if you know, I assume you probably know this, when businesses are, one indicator that a business is about to be sold is that their stock price randomly just ticks up for no reason.
Yeah.
So there's clearly chatter behind the scenes that Ubisoft is up for sale.
Jay's business degree is coming in handy right now.
And also that one episode of The Newsroom where that's what happens. I learned just as much from that in some ways.
Education.
But what we're going to do, well, first I want to go through a few things briefly just to, and we don't have to necessarily get into the full articles, though I have the articles if we want to.
Okay.
So recent Ubisoft goings on. So maybe things that have to do with the future of the company.
This topic is going to be awesome. We've done so much prep work for this. Go ahead.
I did. And I sent you that prompt, and I was like, I felt like I was giving, like, remember ORQs?
Yes.
If anyone out there knows, and I'm sure different schools have different names for what an ORQ is.
Yes.
For us, ORQs were open response questions.
Yes.
And I sent Tanner this prompt of, like, here's what we're going to be talking about today. And I had, like, here's the main bit. Here's like one sentence of information of news. What does this mean? Blah, blah, blah. And I have like three like questions, and I almost could end it with like, justify your answer with evidence from the passage, like something dumb.
Yeah.
So
Make sure to show your work.
If you ever had to do like a 5-paragraph essay in school, that's sort of the prompt that I sent Tanner earlier.
Yes.
But some things that have happened recently that are going to be relevant for Ubisoft, either as they are now going forward or for whoever chooses to acquire them.
Sure.
The toxicity of the workplace, certainly a big thing. And I do have Ubisoft CEO and others blamed for, quote, institutional harassment, article from Kotaku by Ethan Gach. And I know we've never come down on a correct pronunciation
for
this guy.
Back.
But Gach, if it's either Gach, I don't know.
Gach's back, baby.
Assassin's Creed and Far Cry publisher Ubisoft is the target of a new complaint filed in French court that accuses the company and its longtime CEO and co-founder, Yves Guillemot, and I'm not going to say his name ever normally, of institutional harassment. According to a survey released last fall, 1 in 4 Ubisoft employees has either witnessed or directly experienced misconduct. That was from July of last year. So that's one thing.
Yes.
In terms of what their plans for the future are, we heard not too long ago about their plans for the future of Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
This is actually from Ubisoft.
Okay.
So take any marketing speak that's in here with a grain of salt.
Sure.
This is from July of 2021 as well. So maybe there was some sort of something that happened behind the scenes there. From Natalie Bouchard and Christophe Durin.
All right.
These are very French people.
Yes, they are.
From its action-adventure origins to its RPG evolution, Assassin's Creed has shown how the decisions we make now, no matter how big or small, can influence the events of the future. After both Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Assassin's Creed Valhalla shattered records, We find ourselves in that very moment where we know the decisions we're making for the franchise now will impact its future for years to come. Along with our announcement of new content for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we wanted to share some key updates on the talented and creative minds that will now be working in a collaborative cross-studio structure between Ubisoft Montreal and Ubisoft Quebec. There's so much stuff in here. I'm skipping down.
Yeah.
Because the thing that we have heard about is whatever ends up becoming Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Yes.
And Assassin's Creed Infinity, some behind closed doors info, seems to be... My understanding is it's kind of like the Watch Dogs Legion of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Some sort of persistent MMO-ish.
Mixed with like a Destiny 2.
Something like that. So, their plans, and this is something we've known about Ubisoft for a while now. They're one of the companies that has leaned in heavily to the every game must have an online element.
Yeah.
And then
the live service part.
Assassin's Creed is just the latest of that. So if you want to go read their blurb, there it is. Feel free. And then just an update that I wanted to know for myself.
Okay.
Was how well did Assassin's Creed Valhalla do, and how well did Far Cry 6 do? It's like their two big tentpole games of the last couple of years. Today, and this is from, let's see, Shack News. Shack, like not Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay.
Like if you go and live in a shack.
Sure, okay.
Ubisoft H1 2022 earnings report shows Far Cry 6 sales in line with Assassin's Creed Odyssey's launch. This is from October of last year. They reported their 2021 earnings, Far Cry 6 sales being in line with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. They did not disclose specific sales numbers, but what we know is that Assassin's Creed Odyssey's popularity points to this being a major win for Ubisoft. So, sales perspective-wise, Assassin's Creed and Far Cry both still in a pretty good place.
Yes.
Is what we can deduce from that. Now, the prompt that I really gave you was... what would be the best potential future for Microsoft or for Ubisoft?
Different soft.
I didn't just Freudian slip that, I promise. So, what do you think should become of their games? Who should acquire them? What would be the best way to go, I guess, from our consumer perspective? Like, what would end up being the best for us? And, in return, the best financially for Ubisoft?
Sure.
So, you kind of had free reign to go any way you wanted with this.
Yes.
The main questions being... who acquires? Do they remain independent? And what do their games look like going forward?
Yeah.
Now, I've got a pretty substantial list of bullet points.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to just, one of us gives our whole plan, or if we want to alternate, like...
So, I actually did not formulate a plan.
Okay.
Instead, to get an even broader view of Ubisoft, I've collected every major game release of the last 5 years and its average Metacritic score.
Thank you.
So... this is not including remasters, or if, like, Child of Light came out on Switch like 3 years after it came out. That doesn't count. So here is just a picture of what Ubisoft looks like today from a review standpoint.
Okay.
Just Dance 22, 72 on Metacritic. Oh, also, Metacritic does this thing where, like, each platform gets a different score for some reason. So if they were, like, PC, Xbox, and PS4, I just took whatever the middle score was.
And there are performance issues. That I think that's usually the thing that makes them different.
Sure, I just averaged it out. Riders Republic, 78. Far Cry 6, 74. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Remaster, whatever you want to call that, 75. Just Dance 21, 70. Immortals Phoenix Rising, 79. AC Valhalla, 82.
There we go. Finally,
Watch Dogs Legion, 72. Hyperscape, 64. Uno Flip, what's that? 77. Just Dance 2020, 77. Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Breakpoint, 58.
Ugh.
Anno 1800, PC only, 81. Unravel 2, 82. The Division 2, 82. Trials Rising, 83. Far Cry New Dawn, 73. Sports Party, what's that game? 57. Ode, some indie thing, 75. Just Dance 19, 77. Starlink Battle of Atlas, 74. AC Odyssey, 86. October 2nd, 2018 is the last time Ubisoft had a game go above 85 on Metacritic. That is 4 years ago. Transference, the weird game with the guy from Lord of the Rings. What's his actual name?
Oh, the guy who broke his foot?
No. The main guy.
Frodo?
Yes.
Oh,
is it Elijah
why
something?
did you ask me? Elijah Hill.
Elijah Wood.
Wood.
There
Dang it. Why did I say Hill?
Hobbits
anyway. Live in little hills.
So, his game, 74. The Crew 2...
I can't even vent anything.
The Crew 2, 66. Far Cry 5, 81. AC Origins 84. South
I
Park.
thought you were talking about the Crudes for a second. I was like, wait, what?
Would you be shocked if they made a Crudes game?
No, not at all.
South Park Fractured But Whole 81, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle 85, Star Trek Bridge Crew 76, Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands 70, For Honor 78. Do you want to guess the last game that Ubisoft made that was a 90 or higher?
Okay, so that would mean it would have been shortly before For Honor, I guess, timeline wise. For Honor, I want to say came out in like 2015 ish.
Well, these were the last 5 years, so it was 2017.
Okay.
It was their earliest game in 2017. But this is not in the last 5 years. This is separate from that. So just the last game they made that was a 90 or higher, not in the 5 year thing.
I mean, it takes a lot to crack 90. I want to say like, oh man, I'm just gonna go with a homer answer and say it's been even longer and say that Assassin's Creed 2 was the last one.
It was Rayman Legends.
Really?
February 18th, 2014, which it originally came out in 2013. But so the reason I bring all this up,
okay,
is it really worth it to buy Ubisoft?
Oh.
They make a lot of very okay games. I think they need a real sort of, well, obviously cultural, but also philosophical refresh on what they are as a company. Because I think you and I would both agree, and most people would agree, they have a lot of really interesting IP. Between Assassin's Creed and Far Cry could always be cool. Splinter Cell, which they for some reason refuse to make. And, you know, even Beyond Good and Evil 2, whenever that game comes out, that is the new Last Guardian. And Rayman. And they have all these cool properties, but they just seem to be very staunch in what they make, and what they make are these open world games. And what's weird is that the other games they put out that don't even have Metacritic scores, they put out so much bloatware bullshit like Trivial Pursuit and Uno and Jeopardy, and like these games are whatever.
They must just get some like random on the side contracts from some of these companies, like make us a little game tie in with this. Yeah, they really do that.
They obviously make money because they've been doing it forever, but it's like, what do you want to be, Ubisoft? Who do you want to be? Because you're obviously not at the forefront of games anymore. I don't know that they ever were, but maybe when like Assassin's Creed 2 came out,
I was thinking about this.
Far Cry 3-ish.
Because those were pretty neck and neck, like in the couple of years span.
Yeah.
I do want to say around that time, so about 10 to 12 years ago, Ubisoft was about as preeminent of a game developer as there was.
Yeah.
But there has been very little development since then, so they've clearly been surpassed by both first, or really all three first parties.
Yeah.
So
I think my ideal situation for Ubisoft, because I was thinking about it, you know, when you asked me, I was like, do I really want Sony to buy Ubisoft? Not particularly.
Yeah.
Do I want Microsoft to buy Ubisoft? Not really. Nintendo buying Ubisoft, I think, is the most interesting of the three.
Sure.
But I don't think Ubisoft's peak has been on what Nintendo prioritizes. Also, Nintendo's just not in the game of like buying studios.
No.
So I think it's highly unlikely. I think the best case scenario to me is that they remain independent, that they maybe get new funding, and with that, you know, maybe the board of directors changes, maybe Eve gets ousted, you know, because all of this cultural shit. Again, I think a lot of the same things that we touched on when Microsoft bought Activision, of like a new, from the ground up, like restyling of what the studio is, both internally and externally, could be good for them.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we need, if Sony buys them, I'd be more interested about Sony taking their IP and letting other studios develop it rather than Ubisoft continuing to develop it. So, yeah, I think the best case scenario is that they remain independent and just completely refresh who they are.
Fair enough.
What are your thoughts?
So, what I did
we did so much prep for this
question was I pretty much gave a point by point, and I took their current IP.
Okay.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
But most of them, or most of the relevant ones at least. And just gave a brief blurb about where I thought they should go.
Oh, okay, I like
with
this.
a lot of these,
yeah,
and sort of what should be done overall. My first bullet point is, I agree that remaining independent is probably the best thing for them.
Okay.
Part of that is, if they get bought by Xbox, they are instantly overshadowed by all the recent Xbox acquisitions, and they just become lost in the shuffle.
Yes.
Bethesda,
they're just a Game Pass.
Blizzard, all of those are just going to be overshadowing them.
Yeah.
If they get bought by Sony, which I'm not going to say is beyond the realm of possibility, because it absolutely could happen. And we heard rumors that Sony was on the prowl not too long ago. Yeah. So this would be a big splash acquisition if Sony did it. But, and I hate to say that it boiled down to a calculus as simple as this, are you really going to publish God of War Ragnarok and Assassin's Creed Valhalla 2 or whatever that ends up being? Like, there's a weird overlap between their IP that I'm just like, I think that if they went to Sony would overhaul their IP in like so drastically that the ground up rebuild would be extremely difficult, and it just might never get back to the heights that it ever was.
Sure.
So I don't think that's good either. So I agree that just getting bought by some private equity firm and revamped is probably the best thing for them.
Yeah.
New management.
Yeah.
You know, from all the bits that we've seen, Yves Guillemot seems like a nice guy when he's on like streaming services. Maybe that's just because he's kind of quiet and French.
Yeah. Right.
But he clearly oversaw a pretty toxic work environment.
Yes.
So that's the first step for at least a good PR move. Is just, you know, send Yves on his way, bring in someone new.
Sure.
Now we get into the game stuff.
Yeah, I'm interested in this.
First thing, and these are very like crude. Like,
okay.
But, you know,
the crude too.
I'm just saying, this sounds fun. Let's do it.
Okay.
Reboot Beyond Good and Evil 2. Make it RPG Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, that's cool.
You pick like whatever, because I have never played Beyond Good and Evil.
No, me neither.
I remember the one Beyond Good and Evil trailer too, and really all I remember from that is that there was a chimpanzee or whoever the monkey character
and
is.
there was a thing where they wanted the community to make their game for them.
Sure.
Remember that?
Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, Beyond Good and Evil University or whatever it was.
So my thought there is like you can make it sort of a Ratchet and Clank, maybe a little more open than that, but you get to like pick your like animal that you play as, and you design your character like whatever it is. So, but that style of gameplay, like a little bit cartoonish, third-person shootery.
Yeah,
maybe almost more like Sunset Overdrive. That sort of
thing.
Just
making an Insomniac game,
more or less.
Yeah, I mean
there are worse studios to copy.
Yeah, I was gonna say those games are awesome.
Next up, I put this one in all caps.
Uh-oh.
Make Riders Republic free to play.
Oh my God, we have been on this since day one. I don't know how it's not free to play.
Like, there is no more clear-cut game in this business that I would download right now. Maybe not play very much,
but you leave it.
But
in
I
your
would
box.
download and try it.
Yeah.
Than Riders Republic if it went free to play.
Totally.
Like, you can put all the microtransactions in it you want. Some people will pay for them.
Yep.
I probably won't, but some people will. And I don't anticipate they're making much from sales of that game right now. So
no.
I don't see there's much better future for that game profit-wise than just making it free to play.
I remember when that trailer dropped. I think it was during E3 or something. We were watching it together. And we were just like, oh, this will be kind of cool for a free to play.
We just assumed that it would be.
Yeah, we just thought that's what it was. And then and somebody was like, it's $60. We're like,
okay, yeah, screw that.
That's so stupid.
Next up, and this is part of this is because of the fervor around this game. Part of it is because of the weird, ways that they've taken the IP since then, which we can talk about. Make a direct sequel to Rainbow Six Siege and just lean into esports from day one.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I don't know if I've ever wanted a game to be canceled more that was already made than Rainbow Six Extraction.
Contagion?
Or whatever the hell it was called.
I think it was Extraction.
That tells you how generic it is.
Because at first it was called...
Quarantine?
Quarantine, that's right.
Yeah, or something virus related.
COVID. Yeah.
And I remember us watching that trailer, and I'm just like, this is the most generic bullshit I've ever seen.
One of the worst trailers I've ever seen.
It was awful.
Game. It was really bad.
And it was the game's trailer. If we ever get like a long form, I guess there's the one. Is it Ubisoft that did the fictional TV show about games with the guy from Always Sunny?
Oh, yeah, they're partnered with him. Yeah.
This is the kind of games demo that's in a show about video games because it's so generic.
Yes. Rob McElhenney's his name, but I don't know
the show is the name of the game.
Yeah.
It's like Dungeons Knights. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like swords and something.
Fiery
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest.
There it is.
Whatever. So, like, just cut your losses with Rainbow Six Extraction.
Yeah.
Move on from there. Get back to the very tactical, team-based Because I'd be interested to play a Rainbow Six Siege sequel because I've never played much of the first.
Right, and the first one is kind of unapproachable now if you're not already in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Splinter Cell contracts. I floated this idea. I think it was on our like Dream E3 ideas.
Oh, the
one
Hitman
it's basically
style game.
Hitman Splinter Cell.
Yeah, this sounded awesome.
Do it. I mean, they're bringing back Splinter Cell reportedly, but like that's so
In
early
VR.
in development. Like, who knows what it's going to be?
Yeah.
To me, this is about as good of a metamorphosis for that series as they could do.
Yeah.
Skull and Bones should be multiplayer.
Did that game come out?
No. Should be multiplayer only.
Yeah.
And they might as well just put it out already. Maybe make it free to play too. Like,
wow.
That
God, I forgot about that game.
That game is in such development hell. About as hard as I've seen a game in the last decade.
Yeah.
Just put it out.
Yeah, cut your losses.
If you make it free to play ship battles, a few microtransactions to like design your ship, make it cosmetically interesting, recoup some of your losses.
Yeah.
And I'll try it because, I mean, the ship combat in AC when they first started that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Black Flag.
And they can make that interesting. So at this point, they just need to put it out and cut their losses.
Yeah.
Keep Assassin's Creed as a single-player game.
Yes.
They've got enough online games to go around, or at least they've got enough potential for online games.
Yeah.
And as long as they're independent, I don't see why they can't just make a direct sequel to Valhalla and sort of keep with that, because apparently it sold very well, it was reviewed well. And it's funny because I did do a Freudian slip here, and I wrote down Ragnarok when I meant Valhalla. But it was a financial success, so I wouldn't deviate too much.
Sure.
Personally, do I want them to go back to a more stealthy, assassination format versus like the very hand-to-hand loud combat that I know the series has evolved into? Yes.
I think that's fair.
Whatever. But I'll take my energy from that critique and apply it to Far Cry. Because Far Cry, more than any of their series, do I think has gotten the most stagnant. At least in terms of like gameplay
I would
style.
agree with that, yeah.
It's just open world shooter
That's
and
it.
then reskinned.
Yeah.
Every iteration is just reskinned. And you're trying to overthrow a despot, however you pronounce that
I think
word.
it's despot. I think you're right.
So I would like for it to go more of a hand-to-hand stealth, or at least incorporate that sort of thing more, and not just be like, because right now it almost seems like first-person Just Cause. Like you're just kind of trying to destroy shit and overthrow a random dictator. And I'm like, that is such a Just Cause thing. And even though Far Cry probably is mechanically better than Just Cause, idealistically, it is Just Cause in every way, but with slightly smaller explosions. Like you can't do quite as wacky stuff in Far Cry. So I would like it to be a little more, strict stealth shootery. You can still do and incorporate some weird gadgets and stuff and weapons.
Sure.
And I think the best way to do that is don't do another modern day Far Cry. Either go back or go forward. Go to
Far Cry Blood Dragon again.
And here's my thought. Part of me thinks that they should make it like Diet Cyberpunk. And sort of like, Cyberpunk Far Cry, but more, it's not, as RPG laden as Cyberpunk. But
no, that sounds cool.
Do some funky gadgets, but make it the sort of tower, open world that Ubisoft is known for. Or take it back to like your Vietnam and you're going after like Ho Chi Minh and going through the jungles with knives and stuff.
Right, yeah.
There's a lot more entertaining, story settings than I think that they've used in the last couple. Was Far Cry 5 a good idea? Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fine.
I like the idea of a cult leader in the middle of like Montana or Wyoming, wherever the hell it was set.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
But the gameplay itself was just, okay, we're going to take guns, but now there are trees. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So this one, which was clearly like a Venezuela or some sort of, middle American country sort of knockoff with Giancarlo Esposito, which, hip hip hooray, you got a good actor to play the villain in your game.
Yeah.
That did not sell me on the game.
No.
Making the whole setting interesting would sell me on the game. So I think Far Cry just needs a change of scenery, not as much a change of mechanic or sort of direction. But
you know what Far Cry should emulate tonally? Inglourious Bastards.
Ooh.
Give me like a little bit campier, a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, Like you said, the Vietnam setting would work fine for that. Like just a little, because it already kind of, the thing with Far Cry that's weird for me is like it kind of teeters on these really super serious moments and then these really wacky moments. And not saying you can't have both, but it seems like they never quite strike that balance where like something like Inglourious Basterds I think does, even though it's probably a little more serious. It has its really campy, silly shit like the that's why you're third best when they're talking about who speaks Italian, like Gorlami, like shit like that. They have jokes, but it's still a very fun movie, but there are still very serious moments where it doesn't get completely off the rails.
Well, that's one of the games that I was like seeking inspiration from when I was thinking about it was Wolfenstein, which obviously maybe if any game has emulated the Inglourious Basterds tone most directly, it's probably those games.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be as linear. And I want it to be more. I mean, Far Cry Primal, which is hard to remember that game even exists.
Yeah.
And
Far Cry New Dawn.
Oh yeah. Now that's a game that like you could tell me like was just DLC or maybe even didn't come out yet. I'd believe you.
Yeah.
There is just something unoriginal about overthrow the despot in new location.
Yeah.
Now, if it's overthrow the despot, that's actual history. Gets a little more interesting.
Sure.
You can mix up the weapons. You can mix up the setting more than they already have. I don't know. There just needs to be some sort of new flavor of Far Cry that they haven't put out anytime recently. So
yeah.
But that's it as far as... I overlooked... there was the one game we mentioned earlier that I can't remember which one it was.
Rayman?
There was one... What? Rayman?
Rayman?
I don't give a shit what they do with Rayman.
Bring Rayman back, man. It's your last good game. Great game. That's great game.
But whatever else they decide to do, I'm just like, these are the games that sort of need redirection or, I mean, AC doesn't necessarily need redirection, but, I mean, it's their tentpole franchise. You got to say something about what the future of it could be, and I don't want it to be whatever Infinity is, or at least not on the sales pitch that they've given so far.
Yeah.
So
one other small thing I thought of while you're going through this. Whatever happened to UbiArt?
Yeah.
Child of Light was great. Valiant Hearts was good. People liked Grow Home. Like, that series was working, and then they just kind of abandoned it. I mean, I guess they, like, did the Unravel 2 thing, which I thought was EA. I was shocked to see that it was Ubisoft, so I don't know if they, like, helped partner there or something. It's weird. But, like, I think they could definitely benefit from publishing these little smaller experiences. I mean, look what EA, out of nowhere, stumbled upon a gem with... it's not Get Out. What is that one game called? The Joseph Ferris game?
No Way Out.
No Way Out.
I think.
And then...
Or is that just the WWE pay-per-view?
That is the pay-per-view. It's something out, right?
A Way Out?
A Way Out. That's it. And then...
I gotta double check myself.
I think you're right. I think it is A Way Out. And then, like, It Takes Two. And that all came from them just taking a chance on an indie studio. Is it A Way Out?
It was A Way Out.
So, like, you know, I think Ubisoft could freshen themselves a little bit more by partnering with smaller studios and giving their games a try, or maybe seeing what their, like, you know, their big war chest could bring to an indie idea. Because, I mean, It Takes Two was Game of the Year 2 years ago. Yeah. Like, that could really bolster their sort of critical reputation. I know not everything's about critical and it's a lot more about financial, but I
those
think
two
they
things
kind
are a
of
little
go
correlated.
hand in hand.
They
Yeah,
are.
exactly. So, I think there's a lot there. And like you said, I mean, we haven't even touched on, like, some of their other past IP that they could come back to.
I thought of the one that I was forgetting.
The Division?
Watch Dogs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because here's the weird thing about Watch Dogs. When you take the leap to go to this sort of multiplayer integrated thing that Legion did, I feel like it's weird to go back from that.
I think you have to, though.
I agree.
I don't think Legion did well at all.
You could, if I'm them, I treat Legion as a spin-off and I just make Watch Dogs 3.
Yeah, like, totally.
That's what I would do.
Because Watch Dogs 2, one of their better games.
Very good game. Now, I'm glad you brought up The Division too, because that's another one that I was like, I don't know. Division, critically pretty well established.
People love that game.
I love the idea of The Division. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just the fact that we are not in a place where, like, we all want to play The Division, so I don't really care to play it by myself. But I could totally get a group of people wanting to play The Division together consistently a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of think Division is in a good place to just keep going.
Yep, totally.
Let them take their time, make Division 3, pick a new setting. Maybe like so they went from New York to DC.
DC, right? Do Chicago.
Chicago, Miami, do like Beach Division.
Oh,
I don't know.
Cool.
Something cool like that. The Division Vice City. You know. So there's some of their IP that are just in a good place. Let them keep going, but there's certainly some overhauls that are necessary.
Agreed.
Well, if you're a Ubisoft exec out there, if you're Yves, get out. But if you're another one, maybe set to take his place.
Yeah.
Maybe listen to some of these ideas.
This might be the most in-depth topic we've ever done.
It's possible. When I was coming, I was like, we're going to use our brains for this one. I'm using my business degree a little bit. I'm doing some real mental gymnastics to come up with some of this stuff. But then I'm also just being like, hey, make game fun.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Make Splinter Cell Hitman, please.
Here's the funny thing about Beyond Good and Evil 2. I was like, make game I haven't played into game I haven't played. but
seems play.
Seems fun.
Yeah.
Anyway. Tanner, do you have a recommendation?
I thought about this. I don't know if it counts, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Then we're on the same page on this one.
All right. I'm going to formally recommend Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh.
This is probably, and here's my rationale, probably as close to a video game that a movie has gotten in quite some time.
Fair enough.
It has a lot of those really fun... It's a movie that is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It really takes like the viewer's fun into account. You and I saw it together.
We did.
And I just think it's one of the best movies I've seen in theaters in a long time. So everybody should watch it. I don't want to say too much more about it. Go watch the trailer if you're interested, or don't, and just go watch it.
I reviewed it on Twitter, which you gave like a 1-tweet review.
Yes.
I did like a short thread.
Oh, did you? I don't know if I saw it.
We'll discuss afterwards.
Okay.
My thoughts is still, it's an amazing movie. I recommend you go see it. Let me just say that Tanner... I could hear Tanner next to me, and he was making sounds that I wasn't quite making. So I'll let you do with that mental image whatever you choose.
It's because I was crying. Don't make it sound like I was like.
Well, you just killed the fun of it. Now they have to imagine the crying and not any of the other shit. My recommendation, I have to have an admission of defeat.
Oh.
I am recommending Cheez-Its.
Yeah! We've done it!
But...
Oh, wow.
Here's why.
This is like a 20-episode payoff.
If Cheese Nips were the best gaming snack...
Okay.
And they're gone... I guess by default, the second best gaming snack is Cheez-Its. The form factor is just the right
This
thing.
is so funny.
And I'll just tell you, so they have the normal size boxes.
Uh-huh.
But they have the family size.
Yeah.
About a week ago, I bought a family size box.
Uh-huh.
3 nights later, it was gone.
Nice.
Wow.
Regular Cheez-Its?
Regular Cheez-Its.
My man.
Here's the thing, and this crosses over into Cheese Nip realm versus Cheez-It. Any of these snacks with flavor dust on them, bullshit.
Agreed.
I hate them. The dust doesn't taste good, and it gets all over your fingers.
Yep.
Now, Cheez-Its, here's what this is getting so granular.
3 caveats in this sentence.
Cheez-Its might actually be, purely from form factor, better than Cheese Nips because they're a little more compact. Their exterior is a little glossier.
Okay.
Cheese Nips were a little flakier.
Sure.
They crumbled a little easier.
Oh, dude, so, we got to go to Buc-ee's.
We do got to go. We can go to Buc-ee's. I don't give a shit.
Today. Anyway, go ahead.
If anyone's in the south of America, you probably know what Buc-ee's is. We just got a Buc-ee's relatively close to us.
Yeah.
So it's been a line around the block for there go. But
sorry,
Cheez-Its on this video game podcast. The form factor less likely to crumble, a little tighter, but the flavor little inferior. But again, I'm willing to. I'm not going to just out of spite eat like Doritos.
Sure.
I love Doritos.
Yeah, Doritos are fine.
But when I'm gaming, I guess it's got to be Cheez-Its.
That should be their new motto. When I'm gaming,
I guess it's got to be Cheez-Its. So
I love that on our gaming podcast, we started with like a 15-minute sampler of drinks and ended on talking about Cheez-Its.
Yeah, that's basically a summation of my life. And I pray to God that there's a Nabisco exec out there that hears my decrying of all things not Cheese Nip and decides, hey, I'm gonna walk into the boardroom tomorrow And I'm going to be thinking, we've been neglecting cheese nips. We've been having them in these little party packs with like fucking corn nuts or whatever the hell other thing they're in there with. We need to bring them back to their full box form. Apparently you can still buy them some places in like California, but they're not on the East Coast. And I haven't gone as far as to have them shipped to me yet, but I might.
I pray to God a Nabisco exec is one of the craziest ways I've ever heard a sentence started ever. Oh, man.
I'm telling you.
Why did corn nuts catch a stray?
Oh, that's not even the right one. I don't remember what other thing is in these little cartoon character-shaped Nabisco snack packs. Like, they're in there. I've had, like, SpongeBob cheese nips that were, like, you know.
Holy shit.
I'm just
so
but I'm under the assumption now that cheese nips are gone forever. So I have admitted defeat, and Cheez-Its are the next best thing. So that's it.
That's our gaming recommends this week, or a movie and a snack. Perfect.
You can't. Well, I guess you could watch the movie while you're playing a game, but I wouldn't recommend that.
No,
I recommend, eating Cheez-Its. And that's it for us, folks.
What a note to end on.
It's nice and hot. We're going to go enjoy the hot weather.
Enjoy the hot.
Until next time, we're tapping out.